Welcome to Livestream Stars. I'm Ross Brand. This is where we showcase talented broadcasters delivering high-quality content across Livestream platforms. And Livestream Stars is brought to you by Livestream Universe. For all things live streaming, check it out, livestreamuniverse.com. And the website for this show is livestreamstars.tv, and that's where you can find links from today's show. You can see future guests, watch replays, all that good stuff. And I also want to mention that this show will be off the next 2 weeks. This has nothing to do with the announcement from Blab about not prioritizing talk shows anymore. This is something I schedule way ahead. So this is something I had planned for months. This show is actually booked out all the way into December. So I definitely plan on continuing either here or somewhere else or both. But we will be back June 13th. It's a Monday, 7 p.m. with John Kapos, better known as Chocolate Johnny. So I definitely have a lot to look forward to continuing the show here or elsewhere. And now let's meet today's guest. Cathy Hackl is an Emmy-nominated broadcaster. She's moved into the world of live streaming, active on Periscope, Facebook Live. She's the former director and co-founder of the Periscope Community Summit, Summit Live. Cathy's also a top 50 PR influencer, head of Hispanic marketing at Boom Social, a blogger at Huffington Post, and pretty much name a TV network. I think Cathy's been on it at one point or another. So it's great to have, I've had a few people on who've done, primarily been in traditional broadcasting, if you'd call it that, and then moved into the live streaming, live video world. Give us a little bit of your background in television and then your transition to live streaming.
Thank you, Ross. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm such a pleasure. Thank
you so great to have you on. It's an honor.
Thank you. And you're too kind. Thanks for that intro. That makes me blush. Well, yeah, I started off in wanting to be a journalist. I wanted to be a broadcast journalist. Video had always been my thing, what I was in love with. So that's what I went to school for. And then I just transitioned into, I've worked with CNN, ABC News, Discovery Channel, you name it. I've worked with a lot of different media, a lot of different old media, let's call them. And and I can definitely tell you some stories about that. But then I eventually transitioned into public relations. I made a big change. It was right after I was nominated for an Emmy. I didn't get the Emmy. And then eventually I said, I want to change. I feel like I want to do something else. And I switched over to PR at the perfect time, to be honest. And then it's just been a transition between public relations and now social media. And then this amazing thing that's happened over the last 1.5 years, which is live video, which has changed many of our lives, to be honest. So,
yeah. So tell me, what was the Emmy that you were nominated for?
I did coverage. They were huge in 2006. There were pretty big immigration marches, pro-immigration marches in Atlanta. And I was working for, it was kind of it was a joint venture. It was a Spanish language channel based out of the Fox 5 office. So it was kind of some type of investment that Fox had, but it was a separate name. So I did stuff for Fox 5, local station in Atlanta. I did stuff for the Spanish channel, and I did coverage for both of them, English and Spanish. And the Spanish channel got nominated for Emmy for great coverage. It was our top 25 market coverage. So it was quite an honor, to kind of get nominated and everything. So I get to use that. I get to use, Emmy nominated. So
for the rest of your life, you can use that. And, now that YouTube videos, I think, have been added to the Emmy category, you could go for an Emmy either live streaming on YouTube Live or producing a video. So it's all comes back around again, right?
It's exciting. It does. I already have ideas in my head of things I want to do related to that. because I know, there is going to be obviously that entertainment component to it, but also a news component or a storytelling component of some sort. So that definitely, I've got definitely tons of ideas in my head of what that could be from a live video perspective. So.
Right. How much time have you spent on this platform? I know you're on Facebook Live a lot. I know you're pretty big on Periscope. How much have you used Blab or not used Blab?
I got on Blab like day 3. It's fairly new.
Okay.
And I mean, I try to Blab once a week. I mean, I've got a show with a friend of mine called The Digital Dish. We just started it. It's fairly new. It's not as robust as yours or anything. So we just started it. You know, who knows if we're gonna stay here or migrate, or I don't know what's gonna happen. But that's a topic for, I guess, another conversation. So yeah, I mean, I've been on Blab. I've been invited to Blabs. I've done even when I was the director of Periscope Summit, Periscope Community Summit. I even had to do some crisis communications on Blab to manage situations that were going on. So it's been interesting. It's definitely been interesting. So it's definitely one of my favorite platforms. I enjoy the collaboration. I know for a lot of people, this is their favorite.
Yeah, this is my absolute favorite social network that's ever been created. Although the people at Blab might not think that I feel that way, because I've been scrambling around trying to figure out what's going on and what the future will hold. You know, we talk in a lot of these shows, we've talked about, you know, what the guest thinks of different platforms and, you know, speculating on what's to come and so forth. But it's no longer really just a theoretical exercise anymore for a lot of the folks here who are part of this community on Blab, either watching this show or they're on, you know, they have their own show later tonight or what have you. What do you think about Blab's decision to no longer focus on press a button, host a talk show, but it's just kind of a place to hang out and don't expect it to have sort of the tools or stability you need for hosting talk shows? What did you make of that?
It was a little sad, to be honest. To me, it was a little sad. I mean, I had reached out to someone last week and I said, hey, can you let me know what's going on? And they hadn't really heard anything. And then everything came out, you know, where they're changing. They launched Bebo. They really weren't going to support broadcasters. I think it's kind of sad. This was a perfect place. But I understand from a business perspective why they're doing that. So, and I see someone here saying, are they turning it into a YouNow? I think they want to compete with YouNow through Bevo, to be honest. Yeah. So,
do you think it's a matter of how complex it is to get 2 to 4 streams of video in sync and on camera and delivered, which, you know, I admit I don't understand. And it's, you know, they made it so easy for the user that it's easy to kind of underestimate what they have to do? Or do you think it's more that this is such a niche platform in terms of like the talk show format and whatever, and they just don't see like a mass audience for that?
I don't know. This is the thing, because I've seen so many influencers on Blab that is like a missed opportunity in some sense, because I'm sure that people would have paid, you know, to be on this platform. So it's interesting. I think it's a missed opportunity. I mean, I think that they're trying to monetize. They have, you know, they're backed by VCs and everything, and they just, you know, I think it's a monetary decision. They're trying to go after the younger crowd, and you know, unfortunately, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that crowd's coming here though. Even if they do go that way, I mean,
I don't know. I mean,
charging a little more, like you said, and going after the content creators would have been a way.
There's so many influencers that love this platform. I mean, I remember Social Media Marketing Week. I mean, Sean was there. There was a whole session on Blab. It was packed. I mean, I don't know.
Right. Do you think that there's another platform that's working on creating this, or do you think this just isn't something they feel has mass appeal? I know right now it seems like YouTube, Facebook, they're all like worried about Snapchat, right? And coming up with their own messenger, you know, and making it better and all that. Do you think one of those channels or Periscope or somebody will come up with a way to put 2 to 4 people side by side in boxes, or you think this is not what we're going to see much of for a while?
Facebook, again? Forget it. It's in the works. People don't even. Don't even like. Yeah, I mean, so once again, I can't blame Blab. I mean, you can't compete,
right,
in some way, shape, or form with someone, you know, with Facebook. I mean, and Ross, to this point, and I was talking to Mitch earlier today, and I said, I love Periscope. That's where I started. That's kind of where I was catapulted into what I'm doing now. But after this weekend, after Chewbacca Mom, I'm sorry, but the massive amount, the capability of reach of video, Facebook Live video, was proved this weekend with Chewbacca Mom. I mean, 100.
Right,
I don't even
right.
know how many 100+ million views at this point. Wow. I don't know of any Periscope video that has that kind of reach.
So you think that people here who are searching now for new platform, new technology, things like that, will eventually be able to just go to Facebook Live, turn on their camera, and be side by side with somebody like you doing an interview, or do you think that's way off?
No, I think it's going to happen. I think you're going to be able to do these sorts of things on Facebook Live. I mean, they want the content. They want us to become
Right.
publishers on their platform. People get their news from Facebook. I mean, there's plenty of articles that tell you that. They get their news either on Twitter or Facebook. They don't really go to the New York Times or, especially the younger folks. Lots of them get their news from Snapchat, for God's sakes. So, right? It's kind of funny,
Right.
but if you have a Discovery
The
Channel,
CNN feed or
CNN
whatever,
feed,
the
that's where
Fox
they're getting
feed,
their news. So,
BuzzFeed.
so I think that this is, I mean, Facebook is going to implement something similar. There's Spaces. I think I downloaded that last week. I haven't really played around with it, but it's called Spaces. That's a Google platform that was launched last week. I haven't really tried it out. It is, Google. So, but yeah, it's kind of similar. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's called Spaces, and you can create like different topics and it's kind of like similar to Blab in some way. I mean, I still have to experiment with it. It says, welcome to Spaces, create a space to talk about anything. So I could see something like that happening here. I mean, I don't know.
Oh wow! Is it only mobile, or can you do it from a desktop?
Good question. I have it on mobile. I tend to be mostly mobile. Like Blab,
I'm gonna check it out.
Blab I use on my desktop for sure, but I downloaded that on my mobile. So I'm not saying go there and like do it, but I'm saying this is one of the things I've seen that could be an option. So,
do you think that even these type of shows will eventually be all done on mobile, or because like a lot of people who are kind of Blab, I don't know, Blab purists or whatever were, feel like that when they try and do an interview and two people are walking around and it's distracting and the feed cuts in and out and stuff, that there's something that kind of more focuses on the discussion when people are sort of sitting at a desk or on a laptop or what have you. Do you think eventually the quality of mobile will be so good that we'll all be just plop our mobile on a tripod and there we go, and it'll be as good, better than what we have here right now?
definitely. I mean, we're moving towards mobile only, not mobile first, mobile only.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say this. It's Gary Vaynerchuk that says this. I mean, that's where we're going. The newer generation lives here. They're digital natives, purely digital natives, and this is where they consume, either here or a tablet. So that's where they're consuming their content. So if you want to eventually reach those audiences, you're going to have to cater to them on mobile. So
Right. And from what you've seen watching Periscopes, watching Blabs and different things, what do you think are some of the easiest things that content creators can do to upgrade the level of either their content, their video, their presentation? What are you seeing that you go, oh God, if I could just tell that person to stop that or do this a little bit differently, boy, they'd be so much easier to watch.
Yeah. I mean, there's tricks and things like lighting. Obviously, I don't have the best lighting right now, but light. I've got my diva light back there though, so it's back there. It's not in front, but there's tricks. Obviously, the tripod, the lighting, those sorts of things are great. I mean, but I think if your content is solid, if you have good content, people are going to watch you and people are going to like you, and that's what's important. To me, it really doesn't matter what you look like. To me, it really matters the type of content you're producing. If it's of value to me, I will come and watch it. So one of those things. I mean, definitely. I mean, I think engagement is very important. That's one of the things I tell brands. It's like, try to find a way to engage. I know that you can't engage as a brand like I do with my viewers because it's me engaging with them, and I have really personal relationships with a lot of them. So I know that you can't answer every comment, but you can eventually go back and answer comments or, take questions like some brands are doing. So I think that type of engagement within the live video platform is important. I don't want to just watch you talk at me. I want to talk to you. So,
Right. And that's why we love this platform, right? Because it's a conversation, and of course it has such a great chat that's integrated into it, that and the community feature and all that. And it'll be interesting to see how Facebook Live is able to kind of recreate that, if they try and recreate the chat, because right now it's their chat's more like Periscope's chat, kind of. It just, there's not a lot of interactivity. It's not easy for the host to interact while speaking. We're here using it on a laptop. I can be typing in the chat box and communicate back and forth and read the comments more easily while still keeping the conversation going. So that's something I'm interested in seeing. In terms of brands, to what extent do you think they understand the potential of live streaming, or to what extent maybe doesn't live streaming have the potential that some influencers, want to believe that it does have? Where are we with live streaming and the business use cases?
Okay, I think that there were a lot of skeptics last year. Definitely a lot of skeptics when I started off, and they were like, it's just a shiny object. Live video is not going anywhere. I mean, Facebook's putting lots of money behind it. Twitter is going out, that it's not going anywhere. We're seeing and personally, I write a lot about this for Huffington Post. I'm writing for Social Media Week. We're seeing the true integration of social media and television. This is true interactive television that we're starting to see, or true interactive, whatever you want to call it, social TV or whatever it is. So that's one of the things we're seeing. I also think that, some brands are pretty guarded. There's still a lack of education, I think, for some brands. They're still scared. They're not sure how to handle it. I do think that one of the greatest things I've seen is how journalism has embraced live video. How journalists have embraced live video, either on Periscope, Facebook, you name it, the way it's starting to be used, because they really are, a lot of the times journalists are the ones that are at the forefront. I mean, and even and I don't want to get into this because it's a different topic, but even with virtual reality, my interest in virtual reality is from an education standpoint. And I have contacts at UNC Chapel Hill, contacts at up in the Northeast that are teaching folks that are teaching this to journalism students. Virtual reality is a way to storytell. So look at what journalism is doing. That's what I always tell people, like, look at what journalists are doing. They're at the forefront of how to storytell. And if you see how they're embracing live video, you're going to see they're really starting to get it. Not everyone gets it, okay? But I think that it's a great example.
And I think one of the great things that journalists do that isn't broadcast on TV, but if you follow the TV channel's website or Facebook feed or what have you, is sure, they do traditional coverage of, say, a political event or whatever on the inside, but then they go outside with their cell phone and Facebook Live the crowd, and you get a whole different perspective, or talk one-on-one with protesters, or show you what people are chanting or saying or what they feel, and you get a whole different view of it than you can compress into a 30-second to 1 minute story on the subject, right?
And this was extremely clear to me last year. There was one of my favorite Periscope videos ever. I think it was like July of last year. There was a journalist, a Tampa journalist at a children's hospital, and he was covering for his TV channel this little child, 5-year-old kid who had spina bifida, had never walked. And he was there covering him getting these special braces that would make him walk for the first time. Okay, so cameramen are all there. You're going to see a package on the 5 o'clock shows, 5 o'clock news. You're going to see that. But he was there live. And I'm sitting there in front of my computer, my phone actually at that point, and just watching this little kid take his first steps into his whole life. And watching his family, that was one of the points where I said, okay, this is changing. This is changing the way we're consuming things. It's that immediacy, it's that closeness, it's that authenticity where I'm actually there with that family, So of course I got teary-eyed, So, but it was real.
Yeah, it's so powerful.
It's so powerful. I was there with that family experiencing this. Whereas, I would have watched it in the 5 o'clock news and I would have been like, oh, okay, cool. I would have been like, oh, great, so happy. But it was a completely different feel. So
now this makes me think of a case where a lot of people probably experience live video, or maybe not live video, but it's portrayed as live video, is when they do the political debates, right? And they say, oh, well, we have our partner is Google or our partner is Facebook, and we're going to take a question from Facebook. And it's so not a good way that you're using live streaming. You're sitting there like, it's like, okay, we partnered with Facebook, so we have to take this question. We're not taking it because we're watching a feed that's live and we saw a great question come in that we hadn't had on our list. Like, this is what I love about like a live show, is that I see people put things in the chat box that I hadn't thought of, and it's like, okay, I can bring that right into the discussion. But when they show like using these tools in a political debate, which is probably the first time a lot of people maybe experience them, it's so forced. It's like, okay, now we're going to go to Facebook and ask the same question that we could have gotten from any audience member at any time that we pre-screened. Whatever. That always kills me.
No, I totally agree. I mean, it's not good use of the platform. It's just like, seriously. I posted an article about the New York Times. Gawker wrote a really good article about 3 things that were wrong with the pitch meeting at the New York, I think it was the New York Times. The editors are sitting down at an editorial meeting. That's what a pitch meeting is, for the folks that don't really know that. And they're talking about, the reporters are talking to the editor, like, oh, I want to do a story about this. I think it'd be really interesting. And well, it turns out that, you know what, it wasn't really an editorial meeting, because the story was already written and it went live even before the meeting. So don't feed me that. This is not an editorial meeting. You already had the story. This happens before the fact, before you actually have something live. So, so I mean, I think we're going to see some of that, not good use and everything. But I do love, I've got a friend who covers the election for CNN Espanol. And one of the things that he does is right before interviewing candidates or right before certain things, he will go on Facebook Live. He really uses Facebook Live more so than Periscope. And he will ask folks, he'll say, okay, what are the things you want to know? Tell me, what are the questions you want me to ask? Obviously, he can't ask all of them, but sometimes people will post stuff and he's like, wow, that's a great question that I didn't think about. So, so it's a great way for media to source kind of great questions as well that people want to know, inquiring minds,
Right. Hey, Elizabeth has a good question here. Does the lack of a quality, slick produced video also help with live streaming?
I mean, it's starting to get better. I mean, you're starting to see a lot of things that folks are doing on their desktops. And, I ordered my Mevo or whatever it's pronounced, my 4K camera, so I can do really cool Facebook Live videos. So I mean, if I could produce better content, great. And I think for a brand, that's what they want. They want the better content. They want to be able to, to have better content. I'll give you an example. My friends at Walmart reached out to me, 2 weeks ago. They're doing a big campaign in one of the live streaming platforms at the end of this month. And they asked me, and they said, okay, well, what are some of your suggestions for gear, right now? And I said, okay, well, these are some of the ideas. So yeah, brands want it to look good. I mean, I think they got it. This is not YouTube. I think they figured that out. But the production is just going to get better because that's what people want. So,
and that's how probably another way, like we talked about earlier, ways people can sort of step up or step out from the crowd is even small incremental improvements in the quality of their audio and video, and thinking about composition or how long they want the piece to last or whatever. Even though it's live, there's certain things you can think about ahead of time, right? That can impact your broadcast. What do you find that some of the big hangups are besides quality for brands when they're sort of asking you, but they're testing the waters and not totally sure if they want to do this or not? Controlling
the message. I mean, from a PR perspective, they're like, I can't control the message. I mean, there's going to be trolls, and if they're hiring an influencer, the influencer can go rogue. So that idea of like not being able to control the message scares the bejesus out of them. It's hard for them to let go of that control, but I think that slowly we're getting there. We're getting to that point where they're realizing we got to do this. We can't just hold off. I'll give you an example. I was at LinkedIn last July at a conference, And one of the ladies from Ford Motor Company, she was a social media person, I can't remember. But I asked a question, I raised my hand, and I asked about live video, and she said her advice at that point, this is July of last year, for brands was to hold off. And I was like, I did a rant on Periscope at the airport. I was like, that is the worst advice you could give a brand. I was like, don't hold off. Don't listen to this lady. So, things are changing. Things are changing. They're all doing, BMW is doing stuff. I mean, Audi's doing stuff. Like, it's just, Land Rover did some really cool stuff on live video. So it's all changing. And I'm glad a lot of people didn't listen to her.
Are they outsourcing that project to influencers, to professional TV broadcasters, or do they have talent in-house that takes that? Like, what do you see, how you see companies are filling those roles and getting that done? Because obviously it's not something a year ago they even thought about or, had the talent in-house for.
I've seen a lot of influencers being hired to do stuff. I mean, one of my biggest pet peeves is when they were hiring YouTubers to do live video. I said, no, these are YouTubers. Right. They might have huge followings. I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying that if you're a great YouTuber, that doesn't necessarily make you a good live video person. So,
right.
I do think that there's a lot of influencer marketing. I mean, the problem with that is that it's been so new. So brands want people to do stuff for free, and you're just like, no, folks won't do it for free. And then it's like, okay, how much should I charge? And everyone's like, well, this is so new. So there's this this give and take kind of thing going on. I mean, I'll tell you, I wouldn't do one for free. No, if you were to hire, if brand wants to hire, they need to pay me. Like I no.
Oh yeah. Unless they're planning on donating every dime that they ever make to charity, then I'll do it for free.
Right? Or they give me a car.
right.
You get a car. You get a car.
Okay, that's a fair exchange.
I'll take it. But yeah,
I'm gonna unlock the seat if anybody wants to jump in and ask Cathy a question directly. Chocolate Johnny agrees in terms of difference between YouTubers. Can't live stream. He's seen TV personalities crash and burn. Yeah. In live video. And how important to the type of shows that are being done on Blab do you think being live is, as opposed to like if you and I did this podcast style and then put it on YouTube or something? I would feel a lot's lost now that I'm used to doing this stuff with live people feeding in comments and it just I just think there's something about that live interaction that even if you would get better quality or you'd produce it more or whatever, I don't think in that case you can replace the live interaction. And that's one thing that an online show, right, can offer that a television network hasn't yet really figured out how to do as well, right?
I think the fact that it's live, I mean, that we've got people watching here live, they're spending their time with us.
Right. It's awesome.
It's awesome. Just that. Hey, Jeff Goldberg, the fact that people are sharing their time with us. They're here listening to us. They're asking questions. They're participating. That is super valuable, and if you have a podcast, it might get lost in the mix. So
right.
Definitely. I agree with folks here that live rules. I mean, so.
Right. Talk a little bit about what you're doing with Boom Social. You're the head of Hispanic marketing. Talk a little bit about that. I know a lot of people from broadcasting often end up going into PR and marketing, and you've done a pretty good job at both because you were on that PR influencers list, and now you're doing a lot of marketing with Boom Social. Just talk about kind of how you made that transition and what you're doing.
One of the things I'll tell you, like I followed Kim Garst before. I mean, I knew who she was, and she was like to me like this, she was on she was just unattainable kind of thing. And then through live video, we became friends. We're like, oh, we're both in Florida. We're 2 hours away, and she's become a friend and a mentor to me. And we spoke at Sony headquarters last year. We both keynoted there with Mari Smith, and when we saw a great opportunity to bring her digital products to the Hispanic market. So basically, what I'm doing for my role is helping her launch her products in Spanish for the Spanish-speaking audience in the U.S., Latin America, and Spain. So you're going to be seeing lots of news coming from that end. I mean, we love Kim. She's fantastic. She's a great person, great soul. So yeah, it's just a huge opportunity to be able to kind of bring these digital products to the Spanish-speaking market. So that's kind of what I'm doing with
Right.
Kim.
And you said that's the U.S., Latin America, and
Spain,
Spain that you're
Spanish speakers
targeting.
anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a Spanish speaker in
Yeah.
China that wants to buy the product, by all means.
Right. So how big is that market overall?
Huge. It's I
Right.
believe, if I'm not wrong, and I could be wrong, but it's the second most spoken language in the world after Chinese. There's more people that speak Spanish than English, actually, as their first language. So it's a huge market. It's untapped. Lots of people are, and if you look at news in the Hispanic market, people are racing to kind of try to tap into those dollars and tap into that market. And
Right.
the way we see it is a huge service to the entrepreneurial and the business community to say, hey, these are some amazing tools that you should be using.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great. If anybody wants to jump in with a question for Cathy, please do. She is unlocked, or if you'd rather stay off the camera, you can throw your questions into the chat box.
Come on, brave souls.
So tell me about Live Video Campus. You're the founder of Live Video Campus?
Well, yeah, and actually Live Video, I don't know if they're still here. My friend Dion's actually spearheading that right now. I took a step back, to be honest, because I just had a baby. She is 2 weeks old. So so that really kind of has changed a lot of things. I don't have a lot of time. So so it's been interesting, but she's spearheading it. So I don't know if Dion, if you're here, if you want to jump in and say something, that'd be great. But the whole idea is to bring education to brands on live video, so that they understand how to use it and what to do. So, and I see Jenny Q calling me a Wonder Woman. I love you. Thank you, Jenny Q. Everyone's like, what are you doing? Didn't you just have a baby? I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean I can't be on Blab. My baby's fine. She's over there. If she cries, I'll go feed her. I mean, she's not alone. My mom's here, and I've got a nanny. So I'm not I'm not a delinquent mom.
Can you tell us her name?
Camilla. So yeah. And the older folks are like, Camilla Parker Bowles. I'm like, no, guys, let's spin this in a positive light. Camilla, like the Brazilian supermodel married to Matthew McConaughey. So I'm like, let's make it a positive thing. It's not making, she like Diana haters. I'm like, no, she's a good name. Camilla's a good name. It doesn't mean it's not a bad thing. So, who's going to jump in here, guys? Come on. I see Chocolate Johnny. I see Jeff Goldberg, Claudia, Jenny Q. Come on. Well,
so, it's so funny. You're so enthusiastic. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So do you remember what your first live stream was about?
Yes. I was in Spain, and I was teaching my social media class, and I got the message, Periscope's out. Downloaded it like crazy because I was on Meerkat before that. And I went down the streets of Madrid to go get churros because you're in Spain. And I was just kind of like, I don't know what to do. Let's go get some churros. Took folks to my favorite churro place where they make them in front of you, and had it. And it was just really cool. So that was my first Periscope. First Periscope.
Awesome.
Periscope.
What was your favorite one?
What was my favorite Periscope that I've done? Oh my gosh. I don't even know. That's a good question. I mean, I've done some cool stuff with my kids. I've done so many. I can tell you some of my favorite things. I definitely, the one that I told you about, the little child walking, that was one of my favorite things. There was also the reporter that was inside North Korea back in May 2015, periscoping, David Gutenfelder from the New York Times. And I took screenshots. I was just baffled. I was like, is that Pyongyang? Is that what it looks like? And just, everyone's in there, right? Everyone's in there asking, like, they're going to kill you or you're going to die. They're like, at that point, then the North Korean government had no idea what it was. And he said, the only place that I can do this is from my balcony because I don't have a tour guide or handler with me. And he was showing you what Pyongyang looked like. I mean, wow. So that's definitely one of my favorite things that I've seen. I mean, there's so much. There's so much good stuff. There's bad stuff too. I've seen lots of stuff. I mean, good and bad.
Yeah, Elizabeth says she streamed a baseball game for her husband this past weekend. 109 viewers. People wanted to connect. It was amazing. And Jenny Q mentions that you used to do interviews on Periscope.
Yes, I used to have a show called Scope News on Sunday nights. I haven't done that in forever, and it used to be lots of fun. I had really cool interviews. I would get lots of viewers on Sunday nights, and yeah, it was a
Was it
fun
the
show.
interview in person, or how
No,
did
we
you?
used to do it through Skype, and you would film your screen.
Oh, okay. So you just film the two people side by side on Skype,
Yeah, you would
or?
just like I would be talking to you, and I would be filming this, and that's what people would see on Periscope. So,
Oh, okay.
I mean, that sounds so old school now, right? It's hilarious.
Hey, it's a good workaround for
Yeah.
for the beginning of
It was
Periscope,
a
right?
good workaround back in the day. Back in the day, I mean,
Right, right.
and the funny, I
So
would
what do you think?
Mhm. Go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No. Or I would do Google Hangouts, and that way I would just show folks what's on my screen through Google Hangouts, but then I would still have the video, and I would upload it to YouTube afterwards.
So now that Facebook Live is poised to conquer the world, what do you think the future is for Periscope?
I see Periscope moving into full integration with Twitter. I don't care what Kayvon says. I love Kayvon. I just think that they are going to be a Twitter Live. I don't think that they're going to be a standalone app. I really think it's going to be full integration. And once we get YouTube Connect or whatever it's going to be called, that's going to be even more of a crazy mix, more competition. We're going to see what happens. And just I'm actually heading over to Facebook in the end of July for I'm giving a talk there. I'll be at Facebook headquarters.
Oh, okay.
There, so huge for me to be able to do that, and just be able to.
Can you ask them to buy Blab or come up with the setup a little faster so that it doesn't affect our show schedule here?
I wish someone would buy Blab because it's a great platform. I mean, there's lots of got some amazing stuff here. So, yeah.
Yeah, love the experimentation people are using. Elizabeth says with streaming, never seen the fail fast method embraced so fast.
We've all
speaking of that,
failed, and we've all had oopsies when we live stream. Like things happen.
So yeah, speaking of that, like this is the great thing I love about a live audience. So that feeds the next question perfectly. What's the biggest fail you saw on live streaming so far?
Gosh. I mean,
and I'm not talking about like somebody driving off a cliff holding the phone, but I'm talking about like
phones. I've seen people, things of that nature. Just think they're filming. Oh, you know what? I remember one of the first ones. This is back in the day. Mark K from the Mark K show. Do you know who he is? Lots of folks here probably know Mark K. He's a DJ in Jacksonville, and he did a lot of live streaming at the beginning. He still does it. He's really good on Snapchat, though. Fantastic. So Mark was live streaming in his car back in the day before a lot of stuff, and he didn't realize that his phone wasn't pointed at him. His phone was pointing at his crotch. So he's live video, and all you can see is his crotch, like his jeans, not the actual thing, but the jeans. Right. And it was just kind of like, Mark K, what are you doing? I'm like, it was really weird. So,
right.
So yeah, shout out to Mark K for that. That was funny.
Jenny Q asks, do you see any other platform creating a Blab competitor specifically for broadcasters?
I mentioned, I think Facebook Live is going to have some sort of group interaction. There's Spaces that Google launched during their conference last week. I don't know the capability of it. I still have to play with it. So we'll see.
They didn't really talk about that in their keynote, right?
Because
they talked about a couple.
Duo, hello, this, that. And it's like Spaces. I'm like, okay, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It shows how that's, again, it's the messaging stuff that everybody's so focused on, right? The messaging and sharing photos and things like that. Chocolate Johnny says he fell off the forklift and nearly went off a cliff scoping about his first year.
Oh, no, Chocolate Johnny. I'm glad you're still here.
Oh, Claudia's calling in.
Yay! And we've got a question.
A second. Yeah, which of the live interactive platforms are best suited for brands from Live Video Campus?
Hey, Claudia.
Hey, Claudia.
What's up, girl?
Hey. Hearts above, hearts over here.
Right.
So nice to meet you, Cathy. It was great. I met you this morning, kind of virtually on Mitch and Jen's show.
Yeah. So we're I'm glad you're here. Awesome. And we connected on we connected on Facebook and then on Twitter. So there you go.
Yeah,
Power of
exactly.
social. Power of social.
Exactly. Latinas unite.
I'm all about the power of Latina, girl. So we're good.
Awesome. Well, I'm in the middle of a move. We're moving actually to Calgary, Alberta, in Vancouver, Canada right now. Yeah, and it's just been like crazy all day today. And here, I mean, all around us is boxes. It's nuts. Anyways, Ross, it's so good to stay connected.
Great to see you.
I know. Yeah. I know. You're like, follow me on Facebook. I love it. And Cathy, you're headed to Chile.
Yes, I'm doing a speaking tour in Latin America this fall. Awesome. I'm doing Mexico City. I'm doing Puerto Rico, Chile, and there's another one I cannot remember. Brazil. So
Brazil,
there you go.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. I loved what you had to say this morning with the Hispanic market. Yeah, it's incredible how. People ask me that all the time. Well, you know, are Latinos like not on social media? It's like, are you kidding me? They live with their cell phones, right? I mean, this is what they do. But Facebook is a big thing.
Definitely, there's actually lots of data out there that shows that Hispanic youth are actually more connected than some of the other youth out there. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm really interested to know just your thoughts on, because with the immigrants in North America, you know, that have come from, you know, different parts. Like I'm from Chile, you know, but I grew up in Canada, lived in the States for 5 years. And, you know, so you've got your first generation Latinos and your second and your third, right? So with live streaming, that's like an area that I don't think they've all really tapped into yet.
No, they haven't. They haven't. And I see the power of live video, like I said in the morning, when Mark Zuckerberg was in Barcelona and he gave us full talk about Facebook Live and everything as a new way to communicate. I mean, I can see that as a great way to stay connected with your family outside the country. I mean, I've got tons of family in Costa Rica, for example. And when I do live videos of my children, I get a lot of people coming in and viewing it. Because of that, because it's a chance for them to see their kids do stuff. He mentioned that. He mentioned about his daughter, Max. He said being able to share the first steps, being able to share Max's first steps with family. And, we lost Ross. Come back, Ross.
We're on.
So I'll stay here while he comes back. So he's coming back. I see. But yeah, I see it as a great way to communicate, you know, and a lot of great way to mobilize folks as well, you know, from a voting perspective. And I want to get political. I'm not going to go there, but I'm saying it's also going to be great for something like that. So,
hey,
where did you go?
You guys are doing great.
You know, most millennial Latino, you know, this younger generation.
Yeah, I think that was my
Snapchat.
internet connection.
Hey, you're back.
Let's not blame Blab for that. So.
That was me this morning when Mitch said, you know, jump on. I'm like, you don't want me to jump on because I'll be on and then I'll be off in 2 seconds. But yeah, Cathy, the younger generation of Hispanics, I mean, they're embracing social media and all that. But how to educate, especially the brands, the corporate brands that are still in the old mode, you know, how do we not entice them, but how do we let them know that there's a lot of value in this, and
I think
you know, it's the way things are going.
You show them the research, you show them the marketing dollars that are behind it, and that they could tap into. And I mean, money makes the world go round, unfortunately. So you know, unless you show brands that there's going to be some type of ROI for them, they're not going to go for it. You know, if you know, and people always, when I say it's the second language, second most spoken language, they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, for real. For real. More people speak Spanish than they do English.
Yeah,
so
it is. Yeah. Well, you know, I was amazed. I mean, obviously I'm fluent in English, and my español is muy bueno, pero un poquito Spanglish. You know, every once in a while I throw in the English words. in there. But I remember when I did my first media tour out in Florida, you know, that organization I was telling you about, like, honestly, I had gone with an entertainment industry guru, if you would, as well, who only speaks English, but he went there because he wanted to tap into the Hispanic market. I had no friggin' idea how tight that whole world is, the whole media Hispanic world is. And I mean, you walked in, you had every television station, every radio station in the Hispanic world there, and you literally went from booth to booth to booth to booth. I mean, unbelievable. So it's almost like familia, but
it is. I mean, I know. So it's
in
like
the
we all
media
know each other.
world.
It's really weird, but yes, it is kind of like that. It's really funny because I mean, I know lots of my peeps are at Univision or at CNN Espanol, and then lots of folks in the West Coast, New York, the bigger markets of the Hispanic marketing. The possibility of that, you know, 7 degrees of separation or whatever you want to call it is. Yeah,
6
it's like
degrees
familia.
of Kevin
It's like
Bacon, right? 6
yes.
degrees of Kevin Bacon.
6 degrees, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? We should play how many 6 degrees of Ross Brand, because Ross is super connected too. He's like interviewing everyone. So
Exactly. You know, I know, I personally know a lot of talent that, you know, they've produced a book, let's say, or an English album, or they're, you know, an English keynote speaker, and they love the Hispanic world, and they're going, how do I tap into that? So in other words, going the other way, how to best position them to impact that Hispanic world.
Kim is extremely smart. I mean, Kim's not going to go and learn Spanish. I mean, she could. But she realized when I said, hey, I see Nathan is also in here. Hey, Nate, you know, the fact that I said, I want to launch something in the Hispanic market, and eventually said, well, why don't we just partner and do it together? You know, I've got the street cred, let's call it, you know, kind of thing. And so I've got the street cred, and I speak the language, so why not? Yeah. I mean, it's got to be a smart partnership, of course, you know. So why not go with someone that's going to be able to tap into that market for you and do it in a very smart way? Because if it's just like I said this morning, and Ross, you weren't there, but I said, you know, you just don't translate something. You have to adapt it for it to be widely understood among all these Spanish speakers, among different ways of speaking, different, you know, variations of words. You have to make it as broad as you can for the appeal. So not just translation. I mean, that bothers me when I just see someone like translating something and giving it to me. I'm like, no. That's not how you do it.
They don't understand that you got to be part of la cultura, part of the, you know, unless you get some of that in you, or like you said, partnering with somebody like you that has the street credit, the authenticity of Latina-ness, you know, you're really just kind of
and Ross, I was talking about
right?
How I have a friend that calls me the triple threat. And I'm like, why do you say that? And she's like, I said, I'm not J-Lo, you know, I don't dance, sing, and act. She's like, no, girl, but you got, you know, U.S. Latinos, you lived in Spain, so you know Spain, and you know Latin America. I'm like, you make total sense. I am the triple threat. So I'm not J-Lo, you know, but from a Latin American, a Spanish-speaking perspective, I kind of understand the 3 different markets that are in play. So it's so I'm the J-Lo. I'm the J-Lo of Hispanic marketing.
You are. You're like the social media J-Lo. I love it. I'll get you. Dancing on the next album. How's that?
If I can get those fat like Glam Squad to do something for me, hell yeah.
Yeah. Hilarious. Well, you know what? It's been great being on here with you guys, Cathy. It's so awesome to connect con otra Latina, y vamos a la fuerza. And certainly we'll be backing you up all over. And thank you. Yes, I'm excited. We're actually spending some time in I don't know if you know Canada very well, but in the West Coast, we've got the Rocky Mountains. So in between British Columbia and Alberta, we've got the Rocky Mountains, and we're spending some time in Banff, Alberta, and Lake Louise. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's actually super beautiful. So, well, and congratulations on your baby. Yeah. Thanks, Ross. Well, I'm going to be probably offline from shows. I'm taking a little vacay, but we'll see you when you get back.
Thanks, Claudia.
Okay, adios for now.
Bye. Yeah.
So
yeah, if I can dance with J-Lo, I'll do it. Hell yeah.
Here's a question from Australia. Wow. So you guys asked if you transcribe YouTube videos in Spanish and English, or?
Well, I wrote to him and I said, I do my videos in English and in Spanish.
Oh, there it is. Okay. So you do all your videos in both?
Yeah, it's gotta, for me, it's gotta be native. It's gotta be, if I'm doing something in English, I'm doing it in English. I'm doing something in Spanish, I'll do Spanish. Sometimes I'll do bilingual, and you might have noticed on my Facebook, I post in both languages sometimes. So yeah, I mean, I think, you know, once again, like if you're going to be reaching out to the Hispanic market to the Spanish speaking market outside the U.S., and it's got to be in their native language. So
it also asks best way to have multi-language option on a WordPress website.
Wow, Nate, Nate, why are you doing this to me?
He's putting you on the spot.
You, Nate. Yeah, seriously. I mean, the only way I've seen it work is when you have the EN or the EN or SP option, EN or ES option on the top, and you can select do English or Spanish. I'm not a WordPress expert, so sorry.
Now, you know, you do when you speak in Spanish on your videos, are you speaking kind of like Costa Rican Spanish, or are you speaking kind of a universal? Because having traveled a little bit, I've been in Costa Rica and I've been in Argentina and Uruguay, and I can tell you the way Spanish sounds and the idioms and things like that from the little I know, it's quite different. I mean, even within the Latin American market, culturally and linguistically, there's a lot of subtle variations, and some even not so subtle variations. You'd have to know, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I tend to speak like a Costa Rican because that's where I grew up, but I have been out of Costa Rica for very long. I grew up kind of all over in Europe and Latin America and the US. So I've picked up little things here and there of different variations in language, like different variations of Spanish. So mine's a bit of a hybrid. I mean, if I want to sound like someone from Mexico, I can probably try to do that. If I want to sound from Colombia, I probably can do that. Mine's a weird, I mean, you would probably, I always get that, where are you from kind of thing. So I definitely don't sound Argentinian, though. There's no way someone's going to confuse me for Argentinian. So.
Yeah. Chocolate Johnny says something about Spanish chocolates. You need to market them.
Oh yeah.
Claudia.
He sources his chocolates from Venezuela, which is Venezuela, Ecuador. I mean, some of the places that produce the best chocolate, including Costa Rica. And we had some awesome questions too that we didn't get to. And
we had a question from Live Video Camps that we started before. Let me see if I can go back. Jenny Q asks, do you see any other platform creating a Blab competitor specifically for broadcasters?
I mean, Facebook is going to have something out, you know, eventually. Spaces is the only thing I want to play with and see if that's an option. So, right. And I see some comments here about Chrome having an option to translate. Translation is fantastic, but it won't work if you're trying to reach the Spanish-speaking market unless you adapt it. You've got to adapt it. If you only translate, you're doing a disservice. You need to adapt it. You know, it's not only translation; it's translation and adaptation. So,
which of the live interactive platforms are best suited for brands? That was the question from Live Video Campus.
This is the thing. This is my answer to that question. It is going to depend on where the brand has an audience. Mm-hmm. So I've advised different brands. TNT Latin America, for example, was doing some periscopes, and I said that's fantastic. But once Facebook Live comes out, once you guys do Facebook Live, because at that time they didn't have it for pages. You know, I said that's where you need to be because that's where we have millions and millions of fans. So now they're doing more Facebook Live, and that makes all the sense in the world. If your audience is on Periscope, then on Twitter, then you probably make sense to do Periscope. So, and I see a rat race in some ways of folks jumping into brands trying to jump into Snapchat and master that. So we'll see what happens. I mean, and I do count it, like I said, I do count Snapchat in that kind of live-ish video kind of realm because it is in some way, shape, or form, it's immediate and it's ephemeral and and
Brian
what have you.
Fanzo came up with a great term. He uses social video. And so that kind of fits
Yeah,
into the social video
I like
realm.
social video.
Yeah.
We've had that discussion.
It's almost live streaming, right? Because you're shooting it and then you're posting it. You're not, posting
even
it almost
Snapchat calls
immediately.
it live stories.
Right,
so.
Right. And are you active on Snapchat?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Cathy.Hackl. Cathy.Hackl. Follow me.
Cathy.Hackl. And at Cathy Hackl on pretty much everything else, right? You froze up for a second.
Yeah, and Facebook, I am Cathy Hackl. Sorry, I am Cathy Hackl. I also have a public figure page, which is facebook.com/HackleCathy, and I'll write this. Biggest takeaways for marketers on Kohl's and Candace and Chewbacca mask. Great question, Jenny
Q's got so many good questions. She should probably try and host a show or something. She's so good at this.
Maybe she should try to host a show, right? The Jenny Q show. That'd be a great name, right?
So you're good. You're good. You should get into marketing.
Yeah. Seriously, right? I'm in the wrong field. So we're having a good time here, Ross. It's awesome. Biggest takeaways, and I drew inspiration from a friend's post. First of all, you can buy a Chewbacca mask, but you can't buy happiness. That was pure joy. That lady was pure joy. That was not fake. That was real. And she bought the mask, but that was just authentic and real.
Right.
So you can buy the Chewbacca mask. You can buy joy. Second, for it to work in live video, you have to be authentic. And Nate, who's giving me props over here, he is who he is. He cusses and he does his thing, but he is who he is in live video. He's one of those examples of like, that's who he is. I mean, he's not going to change it and sanitize it because that's who he is, period. So once again, this lady was completely herself. I mean, she didn't care. She didn't have to wear all this makeup. She was just in her car. And she was super excited about a Chewbacca mask. And look at that, 100 million views.
Makes you laugh just thinking of it. So
that's one of the other ones. I love it. And then that sometimes virality is accidental. This was a pure lucky accident, in the sense that she didn't get, as I understand it, at least, she wasn't paid by Kohl's to do this. It just happened. And sometimes that's what happens that makes it beautiful and magical, that it was just so authentic. It wasn't, Diet T asking Scott Disick from the Kardashians to to put a post on Instagram that he later realized, oh crap, what did I do? This was authentic. This was this lady just excited about her mask. So yeah, authenticity and just that organic, beautiful thing. If you go to my Facebook page, I tweeted an interview. I posted an interview, of Candace Payne at Good Morning America. And when you listen to her, beyond her laugh and everything, what she did and what she's taking away from what's happening to her, it was beautiful. And I just said, this lady is as real as it gets. And people like her. Right. People like her just because who she is.
But you can't strategize that. I mean, your strategy is based on going viral. That's probably not a good way to develop a business, right?
No. But the smart thing is Kohl's saw the opportunity and jumped on it and said, okay, what is a good thing we can do from a Goodwill perspective? What is a cool thing we can do? Well, show up at her house with all these masks for her kids because she doesn't want to share it. So, so they were very smart in how a brand can show in some way, shape, or form goodwill and say, hey, we want to be part of the story. We are part of the story. We want to be a bigger part of the story. And obviously they're reaping the benefits. The mask is completely sold out. So
thank you so much, Cathy. This has been so much fun. Thanks to Claudia also for joining us in the hot seat. And it's at Cathy Hackl on Twitter and on Instagram. And give again your Snapchat if you want people to follow you on Snapchat.
Yeah, I'm going to write it here. Snapchat is Cathy.Hackl. And I had I did a little Snapchat story for my daughter's birth. That it was fantastic. I'm going to put it up. It's up on my Facebook. I'm going to put it up on my YouTube because I've gotten a lot of great comments on it. It was just really raw, like not raw because I didn't show the birth. I did not want to do that. It was more like authentic and real, and it's like me saying I'm about to head into the OR and just it was I don't know if anyone watched it here, but I had
on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So anyway,
well, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm here.
Livestream Stars will be back on the 13th of June with Chocolate Johnny at 7 p.m. Eastern. Probably here on Blab. As long as Blab is up and working, we'll be back here. If not, you can subscribe to my email list, and I will let you know where we'll be broadcasting from. Until then, have a great couple of weeks, everybody, and then look forward to seeing you soon.